thank you for being at the baccalaureate service. That was a few Sundays ago, but it was a great ceremony, and thank you for participating.
Call the meeting to order. Any items from the public? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. President, if there's no modifications or changes to the agenda for Thursday, June the 16th, I move to approve it.
Have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Purchase order. Any questions or concerns on the purchase order?
Tracy's not here, so we can't get him answered.
Nah. So we have 8 internal budget revisions. Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir. With 2 weeks yet to go in the fiscal year, we're in the process of trying to, as you know, this time of the year, clean up some of the accounts. You approved the last state budget revision last week. So over the next 2 or 3 weeks, we'll be doing a number of internal budget revision requests. You have 8 requests before you today, 5 from the sheriff and 2 from Tim Zaya for the Day Report Center. The first request, all the sheriff's requests are for Department 700 law enforcement. The first request, Sheriff Harmon's requesting that he be allowed to decrease 229 court costs and damages by $100. That line item currently has an unencumbered fund balance of $2,811.42, with 30.4% spent to date, and increased line 212 printing by $100. That line currently has a deficit balance of $87.64. The next request from Sheriff Harmon is he's requesting that he be allowed to decrease line 221 training and education by $2,100. Current unencumbered fund balance is $26,499.82, with 66.9% spent to date. An increased line 217, maintenance and repair equipment, by $2,100. That line currently has a deficit balance of $2,005.11. The next request from Sheriff Harmon, again, he wishes to decrease line 221 training and education by $2,200, which after you deduct the $2,100 from the previous request, would leave an unencumbered fund balance of $24,349.82, an increased line dues and, line 222 dues and subscriptions by $2,200. That line currently has a deficit balance of $2,200. The next request from Sheriff Harmon is to decrease line 229 court costs and damages by $500. That line item, the unencumbered fund balance in that line item remaining, if you approve the first one, would be $2,711.42. An increased line 230 contracted services by $500. That line item currently has a deficit balance of $341.99. The next request from Sheriff Harmon is to reduce, again, line 221 training and education by $5,000. The current unencumbered balance, once you deduct the 2 previous requests, would be $22,149.82, and increased supplies and materials by $5,000. That account currently has a deficit balance of $2,313.40. The final request from Sheriff Harmon is to once again decrease line 221 training and education by $4,200. The current net unencumbered fund balance in that account would be $17,149.82, and increased line 345 uniforms by $4,200. That account currently has a deficit balance of $2,894.08.
He has a lot of deficit balance, does this catch him up in all the?
Yes, sir. Yep. For now.
Yeah, well, that's.
It's fluid. And we will be typically, we quit writing, the last purchase order that you have will be next week. So once those checks hit, then we'll do the final cleanup on the 30th.
He has it's good to see that he has a lot of accounts that he's not spending in, that he can use those to fund the accounts he is spending in.
Yeah, but when you look at the size of his budget,
Well, yeah,
there's not a lot of surplus to be moving around. So
but he does have a
He does
training
have it.
education,
Yes, sir.
especially, which kind of surprises me.
right. Well, if
I
you
was thinking the
remember,
same.
Yeah,
we had moved some money, an excess amount of money over because he was going to do driver's training for 24 deputies to the tune of about 24,000. And he pared that back so that the cost was only 9,000. So that gave him that little bit extra.
And that was because of the deficit on the other side of his budget. So
Yep.
he cooperated with us
He
on
did.
that.
Yes, sir. The final two requests are from Tim Zaya, the Day Report Center, Department 731. Mr. Zaya is requesting that he be allowed to reduce line 341, supplies and materials, by $500. Current unencumbered fund balance is $42,606.05. An increase line 222, dues and subscriptions, by $500. Current unencumbered fund balance has a deficit of $337. The final request is to again decrease line 341, supplies and materials, by $12,000. Current net unencumbered fund balance, after you take the $500 previous deduction off, would be $42,106.05. And increase line 223, professional services, by $12,000. That account currently has a deficit balance of $4,129.94.
All right, any questions for Mr. Davis on the internal budget revisions? All right, moving on to change in status, we have a new hire recommendation received from Mike Lang, Chief Court Marshal, for Stephen Thomas as a Deputy Court Marshal with an annual salary of $33,928, effective July 1st, 2022.
And this now backfills the two additional positions that you gave for the next magistrate,
Okay.
which becomes effective July 1st.
And
what's the status on the new magistrate?
They're going to make the announcement this week.
Oh.
They've made the selection, they just haven't formally announced it yet.
they'll appoint somebody to that one.
Correct.
Now, with a new magistrate, does that mean he also gets a secretary, or he shares a secretary?
That would all be taken care of through the state, but yes, that position has an administrative assistant assigned to them. And we already, in by code, we have to provide the furniture,
Yeah.
and we already have the office set up, so it's ready to go.
All right, anybody have any questions on the new hire? We have approval of minutes from May 26, 2022, Berkeley County, everyone, for our normal council meeting, everyone was present. Any changes or corrections on that? County council calendars. All right, county government will be closed tomorrow and Monday, so enjoy the long weekend. And be back in the chambers 9:30 next Thursday on the 23rd. Boards and commissions, we have, actually it's showing Main Street, Martinsburg at 5:30. 4 p.m. Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority, 6 p.m. Airport Authority. Are those still, is the airport still on?
No, we already had ours.
All right, and who's on the Transit Authority now?
Me,
Is
we had that one already on.
Okay.
We had it on Monday,
All right,
the 13th.
so more than likely all those be canceled.
Mhm.
9 a.m. on Tuesday, Councilperson Gokenhour will be the rock star. 11:30 a.m. Parks and Rec, 5 p.m. Sewer, 6 p.m. Stormwater, 6 p.m. Planning Commission.
How you gonna do all those things?
There is one additional thing for Tuesday. I'll be representing the county on emergency services for the Berkeley 2000 leadership,
Good.
somewhere in between there.
Okay. Wednesday 10 a.m. CVB, 3 p.m. Senior Services. Thursday, 5 p.m. will be Ambulance Authority, 5 p.m. Library Board. Any changes or corrections? All right. Yeah, Eddie, on Tuesday,
Yeah, well, I'll be able to attend the the sewer board, and then leave there about 5:45 to head to the planning commission, so make the stormwater.
all right, we have some bond releases. P&G Project Independence Pond Number 1 Diversion, BCP file number 2106-207, tied to BCP file number 2105-199, and BCP file number 3 would be 2008-0005. Grading bond number is 107274679. Engineering Department has made that recommendation. A bond release for Liberty Run subdivision phase 1, BCP file number 87-04. It's a grading, and Engineering Department has made that recommendation. Ground bond reduction for Red Hill phase 2. Final plat BCP file number is 2201-014, tied to BCP number 35-05 and BCP number 2009-237. Bond release, I may have to recuse myself on that one, so I'm gonna let you take over on that one.
Is that the one that,
I think that's the one.
Edge of
that I-
Assembly? Yeah,
Yeah. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
And you may want to separate.
Okay. Let's go ahead and,
Yeah, let me go ahead and take the vote all at once.
right, and then we'll do this one separate.
Yeah. All right, so let's pull those out of the agenda, and we'll do the 3 that I've read. Any questions for Doug on the bond releases?
Just one, the one P&G project, is that the one that diverts the water away from Crestfield?
Yes.
And then finishes it up and brings it around to the waterway?
Yes.
Okay, I thought so, okay, thank you.
All right, entertain a motion to approve the bond releases and reduction that have been read.
So moved?
Motion been made. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And again, I'm going to recuse myself because I've done the work on the next project.
Okay, we have a letter of credit release request for Hedgesville Assembly of God grading, BCP file number 2102-058, tied to BCP number 02-17 and BCP number RO1005-18. Grading and letter of credit number 6002485. Can you say the creditor on that or the bank on that, or is that matter? CMB, okay, yeah. For a full release, and the bond number is all through that. And the amount to be released, $19,496.
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries.
We have a canceled check request from the county clerk.
Consent agenda.
Oh, you already done that one?
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Any questions on the canceled check request? If not, need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Motion's been made, second, any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Check that real quick. All right, Mr. Hess, you're up. You have a little bit of activity for us.
Yeah, we do. Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
We've been in training for the IS World Program and all that, so this is actually about 2 weeks or so of exonerations. I got 15 of them, I think, total here, and they're all personal property, office error, and on the first, and they're all listed, the reasoning as they're listed there. The first page, with the age on the first page, would come up to $978.48. I got 7 on the second page. They come up to $1,609.30. And the total of all 15 is $2,557.78 for all 15.
All right, entertain a motion on the 15 personal property tax exonerations due to office error.
Yes, sir. A motion to accept the exonerations presented by the assessor for the amount of $2,557.78.
Motion's been made and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Hess. Board and meeting reports, Mr. Barnhart.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the opportunity to explain where I've been this week. The Berkeley County Public Service Water District had a meeting on Monday. They pay authorization for work for the Bunker Hill plant design for $241,000 was approved. Pay authorization for the membranes for Bunker Hill plant for $131,500 was approved. The Pikeside water main was reviewed, $356,000, no action taken on that. Approval of design plans for Cardinal Point, 59 single-family houses and 52 duplexes. And Kiln Drive Mobile Home Park, which is down Ridgeway somewhere, 18 mobile homes.
Can't imagine anybody doing a mobile home park with the regulations. No,
It's
that's
a-
not
It's an addition.
Existing mobile home.
I was gonna say, that's the only way you can do it.
And review and possible action for Fire Line Service Agreement for the industrial church property on True Apple Way in Inwood. Divide the church and then bill each separately, mostly for the fire controls, fire service. And that was the Water District. And then Region 9 Planning and Development Council was also Monday. Yours truly was reelected as president.
Oh, my.
Yeah, they know what they're getting into. They appointed board members, they approved the budget. The guest speaker was Ryan Thorne, State Director of USDA Rural Development. And that was pretty much it. And those were my meetings.
Ryan Thorne, what is in relation to Lee?
A lot of thorns in the government, I can tell you that. All right.
I'm a thorn in Sherry's side.
All right, Jimbo.
Yes, sir. I had 2 meetings, Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority, which one of the items was we have 2 members of the organization that's going to be going to Stonewall Jackson Resort to possibly receive an award for their outstanding abilities, which is, we had them in at the board meeting, and so they were told then, as you know, they were submitted, their names were submitted, and they will know what they will win, whether first, second, third place for their outstanding performance. And I had to make a comment. I said, the last time I was brought in front of a board of directors, They usually handed me a pink slip. But I said, so this is pretty good to be given to you all. And then we had the triennial review from the Federal Transit Administration. And did I say we had a great report, no deficiencies? I got a copy of it here if anybody's interested in it.
What was your report?
The triennial review, draft report, and it was from the Federal Transit Administration. Like I said, we had a very good report, and the deficiencies were zero, but, to that degree, which is very rare. And then they were working on 2 replacements for 12 passenger vehicles. The last 2 that they bought were 60 grand each. So they're working on a grant.
That's
to get,
cheap though.
that was the last 2.
Right.
The new ones are 131,000. So over doubled in the cost of.
Is that a non-CDL bus?
You still need.
12 passenger, I don't think you'd have.
You don't have to have a passenger endorsement. So you still sort of have to have the CDL commercial driver's license, but you don't have to have
Oh,
the
is that right?
passenger endorsement. Which I think I'm right on.
It's getting harder and harder to get CDLs. You know, the feds just made it that much harder. You gotta have a 6-month course or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
6 weeks, 6 months, something.
Yeah.
It's making it
And
that much harder.
yep.
So guess what's gonna go up? The wages of the truck drivers.
Oh yeah. And there was an 80-20 grant match. So that was mine. And they're at 91.63% of the budget for a profit loss. And then I had an airport authority meeting. They had an RFP approval for the audit, which was awarded to Perry and Associates. We had to renew 2 members to the MRB Foundation, which they had to be non-members of the airport authority, which Nick and Jim Marshall were the 2 that were appointed. Let's see. We have a new aircraft in. It's Part 91. It's not for flight charters, but it's under our direction. It's a C90, which is a King Air, a smaller version of the ones that we do have. There was a new chapter called the Mountaineer Chapter of the 99s. And that is a group of organization of women who they do STEM projects for educational purposes, and it's a very old organization of women pilots, and to be part of that. And I had to mention many years ago when I was out there at the airport being a bum, one of the original 99 members flew in out there on her way. One of the charter members flew, and this was back in the 70s now, on her way to an event that she was being honored to be part of, and I got to meet her.
Neat.
And I wish I could remember her name, but that was too far long ago. So.
What about Rosie the Riveters? I mean, they came in a couple years ago, and what are they up to now?
I don't know. That was not I don't know. It'd be good
Pretty
to find out.
impressive group.
You know.
Women putting rivets in airplanes during World War II.
You know, that would be probably pretty good to see if we could get a hold of them for the
250.
that
Oh,
or
yeah.
the 100th
Right,
anniversary
right.
birthday
That
at the
would be.
airport. I'll mention that in our meeting.
So you was a bum at the airport in the 70s, and you're still camping out there.
I am. They won't kick me out. So sorry about their luck. They had a decrease in avgas sales in Jet A because of the rising cost right now. There was a aircraft, a Mooney and a Beach aircraft companies, or not companies, but owners of those types of aircraft. They fly into Martinsburg and they do formation training. And so every now and then you'll see a group of planes flying around in formation in the area.
Yeah, you was talking about that.
I've been watching 2 planes go over.
Well, they had 9 of them out there that would do 2, 3, and 4 formations. And actually the instructor is part of the group that runs the simulator at the Air Guard. And so we're going to try to get with him to see whether or not he can get a few of them to come in for June the 3rd and kind of do a little bit of flying around. And I do know the Commemorative Air Force is going to probably be
July
bringing
3rd.
July 3rd of next month, for our fireworks, 4th of July. So they're going to try to get Commemorative Air Force to come in with one of their planes and possibly do some aerial roundabouts just to kind of draw the attention out to the airport for the festivities going on.
What does the Civil Air Patrol, what do they do?
They used to guard the skies civilly back
Right.
during the war. They would do the flyouts over the Atlantic and look for possible ships and things like
Is
that.
that right?
Yeah, and they actually do partake in now with national defense around what's called the ADIS, defense areas around the Washington area,
Mm-hmm.
the Capitol building, and you'll see Civil Air Patrol fly, and that's the picture or the portrait that was donated by Keith Berry that we're getting ready to display out at the airport of a Civil Air Patrol being flown around what's called the ADIS area. That will shows they're partaking in our civil defense of
Yeah.
the United States, and they'll intercept F-16s or something and show them how that event works. If you enter airspace without permission, you will be escorted out pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
They also assist in
Search and rescue.
downed aircraft.
Yeah, search and rescue.
Oh, is that
So if an ELT beacon, which is emergency locator transmitter, is activated, by a sudden impact or crash or something, then it immediately sends satellite coordinates or coordinates to the local Civil Air Patrol, and then they go out and do their search and rescue. They usually have a plane that flies around, will pinpoint it, and then they'll guide the ground crews out to that
Okay.
location.
Interesting.
The light project is still going on for the new upgrade of the LED lights. They are installing what's called a PAPI system, PAPI, which is Precision Approach Path Indicator, which we've never had one on runway 08, which is coming in from west to east. So it'll fly in over Tabor Station. And what it does, it gives you an angle of attack to approach the airport to make you clear of all objects below. And they still have a few nighttime closures of the airport for that process to be going on up until July the 15th.
Eddie, now Alan and I went to eat lunch out there last Thursday, and the restaurant was packed,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a really nice double-engined airplane that came in, bigger than the King Air that the airport has, burgundy and nice looking,
Mhm.
really nice. Had a
You'll-
commercial pilot, looked like.
I mean, you'll see all kinds. I
Mhm.
mean, it's any day of the week now. I mean, the restaurant has really helped out the business of once the pilots find out there's good food, they
Right.
usually show up.
All right, seen the jet?
Yeah,
In the distance?
yeah,
That's
oh,
a big jet.
yeah, it is. And it's getting ready. They just told me where it was headed to. Oh, I forget.
Oh,
But I was
that's-
talking
that-
to one of the ground guys.
That's very impressive.
I was told, whether it's true or not, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn, it used to belong to Rush Limbaugh. It was his, and then after he passed away, it's been taken over by another management.
Think bigger than my apartment.
Be nice on that. Yeah, it's called G5, Golden
Yeah.
Ring 5, 500.
All right, Councilperson Goodnair.
Yes, I only had two subcommittee meetings this week. The first one was the Gig Ready, review of the application. And I will defer to Gary with those particular details because that's all him. That's not me at all. But he thinks that we're very well positioned for this application. And the other was,
Which one was that for?
that's for the internet services for the valley,
Okay.
which serves about 4,800 homes.
Mhm.
That's about what it was. And then Morgan County, they were looking at the ability to work together with us to help cover their area as well. So, like I say, that honestly, the expertise of that is just not set with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's all Gary. But he does think that we're very well positioned for this.
Good.
And the other meeting was the Stormwater District meeting to try and come to resolution with the permit. And we've still got some work to do there. Anthony is working with Mr. Lewis to try to get some correct language that everybody can kind of live with. So it's a work in progress.
Right. I had fire board last Thursday night, and they got all their budgets done. And I have to say, Donna and her staff done a wonderful job on the budget. I mean, very thorough, very easy to read. I gave some comparisons to where they were and where they are. We all know Hunter does a really nice job there as the president. Went over some budget adjustments on their in-house budget, line item adjustments. I think Baker Heights is ready to go now. All their inspections are done. And,
Good.
I told that last night. So
The building was lit up the other night. It looks really nice.
good.
I mean, whenever you're coming off of New York Avenue, get to some of that hill taken off right in front of it. It will really look sharp.
And they done it's going to make them a nice home. So, and that's really pretty much the guts of what the meeting was about. Trying to get all the budget set and all that stuff.
One other thing you mentioned about Civil Air Patrol, they meet every Tuesday evening at the airport.
Well, I was the reason I mentioned that because I know Dirk Stansbury is part of that,
And he sure is.
right?
They got quite a group of kids out there, young adults out there that really participate, and they're doing very well with it. So anybody that's interested, it's welcome to everyone.
Right.
It's every Tuesday.
Did have a meeting, short meeting on Monday, but Project Kent was back in town, so that's still going. So still in the running for that project.
Fallon, this is a triennial report. I don't know if you want to put that with the transit
Put that in
authority.
our files.
Any activity on boards and commission vacancies?
Yes, sir. I'd like to reappoint Chris Palmer to the Parks and Rec Board.
Okay, have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second, any discussion? He's doing a wonderful job.
He is. He's very engaged.
Oh my gosh,
He puts a lot of time.
he does
He's
a
one of your
lot.
board member of that group, but he puts a lot of time.
Yeah. All
And
right,
add another zero to his.
to his pay?
Pay his pay.
We will. Yeah. 000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
And also would like to schedule an interview with Charles Walker for the LAPC board.
Penny, can you get that scheduled for us, please? And one of the things, I got an email from Apollo about the money they asked for. Did they apply for anything yet?
Tracy's been working with the nonprofit.
Okay, all right. Because Mike Knoll sent me an email last night or yesterday asking if we was going to give him money. So it's kind of weird for him to ask me that. All right. I mean, we know each other quite well, so. But all right. Any other activity? All right. Next on our agenda is Tricia Gillums along with her is Elizabeth for grants minute. She's a grants administrator. Resolution and acceptance of the fiscal year 23 West Virginia Community Corrections Grant.
This is the 5th year that we've received community corrections grant for the Day Report Center for their community correction program, and it provides home confinement, reentry services, alternative sentencing for eligible offenders in Berkeley County, West Virginia. We were awarded $244,000, which is $40,000 over what we received last year. And the budget, this money offsets their budget in the community corrections department for employee salaries, the director, office administrator, 3 case managers, 2 full-time drivers, drug test supplies, lab testing fees, offender monitoring, contractual services, and the salaries of the home confinement officers half of the drug testing supplies, lab testing fees, and offender monitoring services are used as the local match.
All right, any questions for Tracy? If not, I need a motion to approve.
So, second?
Motion been made and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
While Tracy and Elizabeth are here, can you get April over here real fast? If you want to jump ahead and do my portion at 11:30, since you're
Sure.
running ahead, we can get April. Elizabeth, you can stay without me. I promise I won't let them do anything. And once April's here, my portion won't take very long.
All right.
If you want to do that, it's.
No, that's fine. It's fine. I'll do anything you want, Mr.
I know
Davis.
Mr. Whitaker, he's on a schedule, he's got to
Yeah.
be around now. What time do you leave?
About one, so I'm okay.
Oh, work with.
I still gotta go home and pack.
I told Alan and him, my wife packed me up before she left, and they said, she probably didn't
See, I'd be afraid
pack
my
me the
wife
right
packed.
stuff.
She tossed it out the window.
Yeah.
Here, bro.
And garbage bags.
I shouldn't say that. She's a good lady. I shouldn't say that. I tease her a lot about it.
Jackie probably put,
Itching powder?
when, no, she probably put brass knuckles and a knife so that when he goes through TSA,
Yeah.
Strip search me.
Yeah. Full body cavity search.
yeah.
I did try to take my knife into the White House one time. I didn't realize I had it. And I
Yes,
think
you
it was
did.
it was the same day that I was there, and I gave him my last four numbers of my phone number instead of my social security number. So they kept me pretty close.
That worked you pretty good for you,
Yeah,
didn't it?
yeah.
All right, now we're ready.
All right, Mr. Davis, you're going to talk about the fiscal year 2021
Audit.
audit
Yes,
results.
sir. If this council will recall, on March 3rd, Chuck Young from Cox Holiday presented your fiscal year 2021 financial statements to you. And if you remember, fiscal year 21 was a strong year financially for us, and we did see a substantial improvement in our overall financial health. And that's something that this council has worked on for many years. And it has been at time a challenge. And we often say there are 54 other counties in the state would like to have some of the challenges that we have. We're truly blessed to be in the Eastern Panhandle and have some of the successes that we have. During the week of April the 11th, an audit team from Perry and Associates were on site to conduct field testing, and it's the first time since the pandemic that we've had a full audit team here. Penny, about eight auditors. They spent the better part of 3 days with us. Before they got here, the auditors had already completed a pretty considerable amount of the audit remotely. But when they arrive on site, it's their opportunity to physically inspect files. They review all the processes that we have in place. They look at things like our policies and procedures manual, things like that. They also spend some time interviewing employees that have responsibilities that are directly tied to our finances, which is why we try to keep them away from the council. As part of that review process, they look at RFPs, and it's just a random sampling. We don't know in advance what they're going to be looking for until they arrive on site. They look at RFPs. They look at our bidding documents to make sure that when we award bids, that it is to the lowest responsible bidder. They look at grants record keeping, particularly with but the amount of activity and the size of the grants that we have, they spend a considerable amount of time looking at how the grant was written, the follow-up and the record keeping, and are we in compliant with the provisions and the intent of the grant. They look at cash receipts. They look at bank reconciliations. They look at our deposits. They just kind of randomly select deposits that we do during the course of the year. And they drill down as much as they can while they're here. We bring massive amounts of files. We actually put them in the downstairs conference room. And knowing kind of some of what they're going to look at, we have the tax department bring files in, we have the finance department bring files in. So when they come in, there's just file boxes upon file boxes that we make available to them. The purpose of, as you know, the independent audit is not only to verify that the information reflected on the financial statements that Cox Holiday has put together are accurate, but more important, they need to prove that we have the necessary financial safeguards in place and we're following the standards. There's a national board called the Government Accounting Standards Board, or GASB. You'll hear, particularly when Chuck comes in and presents financials, they'll say, well, you'll see this change in your financials from last year because there's been a new GASB guideline that's been passed. So they make sure that we follow the standards established by the Government Accounting Standards Board. And GASB does this, truly establishes the accounting principles that we have to use, that all federal and state and local governments have to follow. Earlier this month, as the council is aware, and I put it in your packet, we received the final fiscal year 2021 audit. The audit has been reviewed and approved by the Federal Audit Clearinghouse as well as the West Virginia State Auditor's Office, and we have to have those approvals before we send it to the bonding companies. What's EMA stand for? You know what EMA stands for?
No.
There's a federal clearinghouse, and it's called EMA. That our financial statements as well as our audited financial statements has to go to EMA, and EMA is the sole source that all the different bonding companies look at when they're looking at our bonds. So it's already been submitted to West Banco, and West Banco has put it on EMA on our behalf. Now back to the audit report. There were no significant changes made to the financial statements. They tweaked them a little bit, but the report, you'll see that our finances remain very, very strong. The general fund balance improved by slightly more than $6.5 million in a year, which is about 64.2% improvement, which is the cash that we have on hand, which again is impressive. More important than finishing the fiscal year strong, there were no audit findings.
Good.
Within the management of about $45 million budget, the auditors did not find any improprieties or deficiencies in the way your staff does business and the way we control your finances. We're happy to report that this is the fourth year in a row that there were no findings, not even a management letter. The last minor audit finding was a management letter that we received in fiscal year 16 that simply dealt with the way we handled canceled checks as part of your agenda of handling canceled check requests. And if you'll remember, there was some question about the handling of some of our smaller ancillary bank funds that were held by the elected officials, particularly the county clerk and the sheriff, and we've addressed those. We addressed those issues as part of that budget. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to recognize your staff that continues to be good stewards of taxpayers' money and truly are responsible for this audit. Penny, Tracy McCormick, Sherry Horvath, Sherry and Tracy are both on approved leave today, so they couldn't be here. Tracy Gilliams, April, who keeps track of everything. April, Tracy and Elizabeth write the grants. I met with Tracy earlier this week and pretty much have doubled the amount of grants that you've submitted since April's been on board, which is an absolutely good sign. I hear they drive, or since Elizabeth has been on board, I hear they drive April crazy sometimes when they ping pong back and forth on ideas.
You don't know what that's like, do you?
No, I don't know what that's like at all. So, certainly Tracy, April, and Elizabeth keep very good records, keep track of everything, and then Julie Wright. Julie couldn't be here because, of course, she's manning the office in our absence. She takes care of the deposits. She provides the backup for Tracy for purposes of purchase order law, makes sure everything's documented. These ladies, and they're absolutely do an incredible job, and I have all the full faith and confidence in their abilities, so that when the auditors come in and say, I want to see this grant, I want to see all the drawdowns, I want to see all the documentation to support the drawdowns, and we want to make sure that you're spending the money on how the grant was intended. Absolutely am confident that they're doing the right thing. To the extent that not this past audit, but the audit before, when they started drilling down into the CARES Act, Tracy actually told them things that they should be looking at for the CARES Act administration that they weren't even aware of. So your grants department, they're quick to pick up the phone. They have the necessary contacts at the federal and state level that quick to ask questions, and I'll put their knowledge and their abilities up against anybody in the state right now. So,
do you get any comments from Glenn Gaynor's office?
Yes, we have. Some of the processes that we have used have been duplicated across the state. So just wanted to publicly recognize and thank those ladies, and Penny and Tracy and Sherry and Julie for what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a complex organization here, a lot of moving parts, and they make it look easy, and it's really not. Sometimes Tracy Gilliams just tells me to trust her and get out of her way, which I'm okay with. So just wanted to recognize them for what they do.
Well, thanks to everyone, the grants administration, for doing everything y'all do, because I talked to a delegate, soon to probably be a senator, that you're the reason why our budget grows, and it doesn't grow in a bad way. It grows in a very, very healthy way. Meaning that the grants allow us to hire the people to actually save money. And to all of our staff and to all the elected officials and department heads that help keep all their budgets in line, it's a great thing. I think the only request that I would have would be when you get the audit of 2022, I want a copy of it for my personal use, because I sign a lot of paperwork that makes me responsible. I just want to make sure I'm off the hook. So, great job. Anybody else?
I would just like to add, all those things get done, and I don't even understand a lot of the language you all use and what you do, especially all your grant stuff. that's once again, that's not me. I'm glad you do what you do because you're very successful, obviously, at what you do. But also, Mr. Davis, it takes that leadership that we depend on you to keep us straight and narrow. And many times I stop in your office, you know, right now you're drawing down this year's budget and getting ready to start up next year's budget and trying to bring all that together so that all the departments, they don't have to worry about if they have money, if they have the ability to do the things that they need to do. So, you know, that all takes a lot. So thank you for what you do. I know that we've purchased programs that helps with that, the CMI program. You know, I know some department heads, it's a pain sometimes to get those programs started. But once you do, you know, before, I know they used to be able to call and say, hey, we need timesheets for this person and this person. So I'd run to that particular firehouse to get those timesheets. Today it's computerized, they can pull it right up, they have it. So there's lots of things that has helped streamline, you know, this whole process.
Spend the money out front, but save the money as you're going using it. So.
Well,
and efficiency.
auditors are particularly excited about Munis, because this fiscal year, we really didn't have Munis fully implemented. For the fiscal year 21-22 audit, which will be this current fiscal year that we're in whoever the successful firm is, we can actually give them access to Munis. Of course, it will be read only. So a lot of the on-site sampling that they're required to do, we can even minimize that even further because we'll be able to give them access to Munis, so that, you know, if it's the firms out of Clarksburg, wherever it's at, they can actually set in their offices and they'll be able to access our accounting system and review the files that they need to review. So, and then we'll start, as you know, we've been running payroll parallel from January 1st until June 30th using MyPay. Come July 1st, we canceled our contract with MyPay and we're bringing payroll back in-house. So that will further enhance the abilities of our auditors to really look at our records, because they randomly pull payroll files to make sure that we're not overpaying employees, particularly department heads and elected officials. So I've got to give the audit firms credit. They do their due diligence, and when they put their signature on that audit report, they're pretty confident that we're doing our job.
Good. All right. Will, how many people are you expecting?
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you all.
Council, I can tell you that the petitioner is here. I believe that Miss Allen, the administrator, is unable to join us this morning, mainly because of the late shift. This obviously was supposed to happen last week, but fiduciary training kind of kicked in, and I didn't want to have to force my deputy, who's never been up here before, to try and handle an estate hearing. So she actually lives in Florida and just was unable to make travel arrangements. However, you know, obviously it will be up to this council after the petitioner speaks what he has to speak to. And I believe that given the due process concerns of the two parties, both the petitioner and the administrator, given that they're over a vast couple of states, I think it would be probably a little easier, perhaps, to appoint a fiduciary commissioner. That way that, you know, if a hearing were to happen with the commissioner, you know, remote testimony can be taken. It's just going to be easier for them to be fact finders than it is to gather all people in one place for a 30-minute hearing. But again, that'll be up to this council for your consideration.
So we do have everybody we need.
We do
So
indeed.
we don't hold you up. All right, so next on our agenda is Will Lawrence and Fiduciary Supervisor State Hearing for the estate of Emma Payne.
Yes, council. Just briefly to go over some of the facts. and a timeline. Obviously, so this matter arises from a petitioner for the estate of Emma Payne. The petitioner, Dennis Allen Jr., who is here today, has filed a petition to remove the administrator, Shanita T. Allen. Both petitioner and administrator are heirs to the estate. This estate is intestate. On January 8th, 2022, Emma Payne passed away, again intestate, a resident of Berkeley County, West Virginia. Prior to February 14th, on 2022, I don't have the exact date, Mr. Allen, the petitioner, son of the deceased, came into the fiduciary office seeking to open his mother's estate, but had neither a proof of death, or a surety bond. At that time, Mr. Allen asked essentially, what he needed to do to open his mother's estate, and left, erroneously thinking that he would need a state-issued certified death certificate, even though my office has classically taken another proof of death approach, basically because death certificates are taking so long to be distributed. So we take applications of death certificates as proofs of death. I have a code section here that says and I'm substituting fiduciary supervisor with clerk, basically because the fiduciary section is so interesting to read. And I quote, "The fiduciary supervisor may require a certified copy of a decedent's death certificate or other proof of death and residence, prior to fulfilling the fiduciary supervisor's responsibilities under this chapter." So my office has that discretion to require either a certified death certificate or a proof of death. On February 14th, 2022, Miss Allen, so that's Shanita T. Allen, the decedent's daughter, appeared before the fiduciary supervisor's office with both an application for a death certificate and a surety bond through Travelers Casualty and Surety Company of America. That attachment is in your packet. At that time, Miss Allen took the oath of fiduciary and was qualified as the administrator for the estate. On February 28th, Mr. Allen filed a handwritten motion, again that's in your packet, to remove Miss Allen as administrator, stating that both he and, quote, his brother, Johnny L. Marshall Jr., did not want their sister to be the administrator of the estate. On said motion, Mr. Allen also stated that he had been living in his mother's home for, quote, 6 years, paying to live there, and many other reasons that I presume he will provide this counsel. On March 11th, a person claiming to be Johnny Marshall, son of Emma Payne, emailed my office asking that Shanita Allen be removed as administrator for his mother's estate. An estate hearing was subsequently scheduled for June 9th, last Thursday. But of course, subsequently, my office learned that would be the exact day fiduciary training would be happening, and testing would also be happening in Oglebay and Wheeling, West Virginia. On June 10th, Ms. Allen informed my office that she would be unable to attend this estate hearing due to travel difficulties from her residence in Jacksonville, Florida. If the council has questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. It's important for council to know that my office is not in any way representing Ms. Allen, the administrator. To be quite frank to this council, from my office's perspective, it really doesn't matter who handles this estate. Obviously now that Ms. Allen has been qualified and she is bonded, she must be removed for cause. And I believe the petitioner is seeking to show that to this council. I would also be remiss to say that Ms. Allen not being here is 100% the fiduciary supervisor's office fault. She had a plane ticket ready to come on up here, but of course, last minute changes had to be made and she could not be here today. So with that, I invite the petitioner to address this council and address this matter before the council.
Good morning.
Good, how are you?
We're gonna have you, we're gonna state your name for the record. We're gonna have you sworn in, please.
Okay, no problem.
So testimony you're about to give is the truth, but all truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And your name, Dennis?
My name is Dennis Allen Jr. I'm the oldest son of Emma L. Payne. She died January 8th. Again, like you said, my mother has a house all right, so my sister, my mother moved up here, I guess probably about 10 years ago, to take care of my aunt. The house that I live in was my aunt's house. Through the people my sister has been taking care of, my aunt, my grandmother, and my mother, they all have died. January, let's say, from me personally, I just go to work, come home. I get my sister tell me that she's taking my mother to Florida December 8th, back December 19th. Now, mind you, I have things like my car, the house, it's in my mother's name. It's stuff that's in my mother's name that I was planning on getting all switched over into my name in December once they came back from Florida. They come back from Florida December 19th, about 6 o'clock p.m. I called my sister. I said, I thought y'all was going to be back because they went to Florida and I had their dogs along with mine. And she said, oh, well, it was a complication. We're not leaving until in the morning. We be there tomorrow. So I'm thinking it's going to be, after I get off work, they here, I go to my mother's house, get everything switched over, sign the stuff that I need to sign. It wasn't that. As soon as I get off work, I go over there, I say, where mom at? Now, mind you, since I've been living in 89 State Circle, my mother and my sister, my grandmother, they have lived in 615 State Circle, then 29 Laxfield Court. The house 89 State Circle I have been residing there, paying my mother the rent to pay the mortgage. So once they came back from Florida, my mother been in the hospital from the 20th until she died January 8th. Now, before she died, her and my sister was planning on moving into the house because the house that they were staying in, my sister and my grandmother signed in the wrong spot, which made that house my grandmother's house. So, after my grandmother died in August, my aunt has become the executive of her estate. So she was trying to get everything out of her name. And the car that my grandmother had, I've been driving that car along with my car since I've been up here. She left that car for me. My sister and my mother was supposed to have been moving into my house January 1st. Because that house was supposed to be getting sold. After we moved the stuff out of the house January 1st, my sister stayed at that house. I had the titles to both cars in my house, my sister's stuff, my mother's stuff at my house. My sister stayed in the house to tidy up the house for it to get sold. My mother died January 8th. January 8th at 3:45, her boyfriend comes back to West Virginia. Her and her boyfriend stays into my grandmother's mother's sister's house. Been squatting in the house. Then all of a sudden, January 8th, my aunt came up here, took the tags off the Kobo, which my sister came in my house because I had an extra set of keys. It was the extra set of keys to my house at my mother's house, extra set of keys to my grandmother's car to the other house. Just in case if I was to leave my keys in the house and accidentally lock myself in the house, which I did 3 times. So try to find a way to have an extra set of keys. So my sister came and texted me one day, was like, oh, before you get home so you won't get mad, I took the Kobo. You got a brand new car that's in yours and mom's name with nothing wrong with it. Oh, well, my boyfriend's car's in the shop. Who cares about your boyfriend? Excuse me, but who cares about your boyfriend? Our mother just died. We supposed to be here together as brother and sister. My car that grandma left for us is not for your boyfriend. You got a brand new car. Oh, he can't go to work? Who cares? Take him to work. You got paid for taking care of mom. I got to come out here every day to find it. Well, I had a job, and I still got a job. I got to get out here every day to go to work, pay these bills in this house that's in mom's name. I live here. I got to do everything. Ain't no handout for me. Ain't no sitting up there, stand in the house, take care of mom, getting paid to make sure mom take her medicine, none of that. Unlike you. I understand you take care of mom, you getting paid to take care of mom, but you don't have no supervisor over top of you making sure that you're doing your work. You call yourself, wake up 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Oh, well, yeah, let me go check on mom. Let me go check on mom. I don't have that luxury. My luxury is 4:45 come, my alarm go off, I gotta get up. If I'm not at my job, I either get written up or I get fired. So fast forward because I know I'm talking. So she sat up there and took, as soon as my aunt came and took the tags off the car, it's about 6:45. I'm in the house, I get a text from my neighbor. Oh, your tag's missing. I called the police. I know exactly who took my tags. It's my sister. Called the police. It's nothing nobody can do. Since my mother died, there's been so many things that have happened that my sister have done to try to make me look like the bad person, to act the way how I used to act in my teens, to get myself in trouble, to make me act that way now, knowing that we, at that time, was waiting on my mother's death certificate. If I'm in jail, how I'm going to know my mother's death certificate? Waiting on the paperwork for OPM, so everything that's in my mother's name can get paid for, so we can have our the life insurance that my mother left for us. But how can I get that if I'm locked up? So how can you going around telling everybody, oh, well, DJ doing this. DJ go to work. DJ got kids. You're the only person who don't got kids. Well, I'm the only person of my mother's kids that got kids. So ain't no luxury of doing what I want to do or getting a free ride, because I got to bust my butt to make sure I'm doing what I got to do for myself. That's why I'm on child support, pay my child support, make sure my kids straight, get things that's mine and my name. So it's, excuse me, she comes to my house. She comes to the, now mind you, she's supposed to be at my house, but she go back. Then on the 13th, on the 8th, when she took the tags, I came straight to the fiduciary office. I guess I'm saying it right. I'm always saying that word wrong. Going there to try to see what I need to do to become the executive of my mother's estate, because I can't do nothing by not being the executive, or like DMV told me to be the administrator for Benz, though that car is in my mother's name, but that's my car to get it over so I can get back and forth to work. So try to become the executive. The lady, her name is Christina. Yeah, Christina. She go, oh well, you need the death certificate. I said, is there anything else? Because it's not no death certificate right now. Is there anything else that I can prove to you that my mother's passed for me to do what I got to do to become the executive of my mother's estate? I live in the house that's in my mother's name. I can't pay the mortgage in that house, mind you. I would be able to show y'all the information too. Mind you, the people told me that my mortgage haven't been paid since November. Now, mind you, my mother didn't die until January. My mortgage has been paid every month, on time. My mother and my sister used to have a joint account, but then money started coming up out of my mother's account that was supposed to be accounted for. Then so my sister overdrew money that she really wasn't supposed to, spending money that wasn't hers. So my mother had it, so it ain't no more joint account. So while my mother in the hospital, right before she died, everything that I'm saying that my sister using a card to pay for anything is a BB&T account. Now mind you, my sister and my mother stopped having joint bank accounts. My sister ended up leaving BB&T to another bank. So how you got a BB&T card, swiping cards? You know what I'm saying? When you don't have no money, when you're not taking care of mom no more. The whole time, from my understanding, if the person who you're taking care of, if you're their caretaker, if they're in the hospital, you don't get paid for that. How was you still getting paid when my mother's in the hospital? From my understanding, if you take your patient out of town, you don't get paid for that. How was my mother in Florida 2 times after you get a phone call from the doctors to tell you that my mother's not supposed to go nowhere, except for the doctors, the house. But yet, you took my mother in October, December to Florida. November, took her to Mass or nothing. She dies in January. And here, when she went downstairs to fill out to be the executive of the state, it's the copy right here showing everything. Who do I pass this to? Just showing what exactly what my sister turned in for here. They don't just show nothing. I just get a letter in the mail from the fiduciary office in Florida.
Okay.
My mother didn't leave nothing to one individual child. My mother has 3 kids. Everything my mother states, whatever my mother has goes equally to all 3 kids. Everybody in my family knows this. This paper, the fiduciary paper from Florida, shows that my sister had got a $30,000. My mother did a $30,000 life insurance just for her. From my understanding, my sister had, when my mother was still driving. Now, mind you, my mother had RA before she died. My mother had RA since she moved to West Virginia. So my sister has been taking care of my mother and everything. So she became my mother medical power attorney. So they gave her access to do any type of thing with dealing with my mother. So
Yeah, Dennis, we're not here to
Oh.
nail down a lot of detail. We're just here to see whether your sister needs to be removed and all that stuff.
okay, that too. I got paperwork right here stating that the background of her doing embezzlement. That's number 1. Number 2, she stated when she kicked in my door. There's a paper right here that she wrote that my mother owes the IRS $46,499.45 to the IRS. They coming for the house 30 days for you to get out. Okay. The same day, she write to the courthouse. Emma owes over $50,000 to the IRS. Probate says need to sell the house. I went smooth to him. Asked him, did you get anything from my sister saying my mother with IRS, any money? They go, no. Then they gave me the paperwork of stating of what my sister turned in. Now, mind you, everything that reveals my mother comes to the house. All my mother mail came to my house for 6 years. For 6 years, I was responsible for giving my mother her mail. There's a letter right here from the IRS. States that my mother owes $11,532.59, but yet you write to the courthouse, my mother owes over $50,000 to the IRS. You kick in the door, over $50,000, and probate says sells the house, which probate never says. Never said what they told me. Then you write on the paper all the way down to the T. My mother owes the IRS, but yet none of the paperwork from the IRS don't show nothing that you're writing about, nothing that you're claiming about. How you gonna take care of your mother's affairs? You can't even be truthful about nothing.
Okay, all right, let's make our decision here. Thank you for all that.
Thank you.
And I'll hear from Fiduciary Supervisor Will Lawrence again.
You need.
Nope. There you go. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, so Will, with all this going on, what's your, tell us the direction we need to go in.
Well,
or your
council,
recommendation, I should say.
several things have been alleged, as you've heard, some of which, embezzlement is a criminal charge. Obviously, this body would not have any part in that. That being said, the motion for this hearing, the handwritten documents, as well as the email purporting to be Mr. Allen's brother and heir to the estate, those are the only documents submitted with the motion. That being said, it doesn't make the matters any less or more true. My feeling is that an independent fact finder, fiduciary commissioner, would be better suited to handle the allegations by Mr. Allen, and that commissioner could then go through all of the documentations, in so much there are some, and kind of give this council its recommendation in a more formal fashion. And I believe that's the best way moving forward. I've taken the liberty of drafting an order that would have this council, have my office appoint a fiduciary commissioner, and immediately upon finding, report to this council. If that's agreeable, I certainly would ask for the council's consideration on that motion.
Dennis, back up. You gotta go back up to the podium, please.
I would like to know what does that mean, because it is a fact. Again, like I say, I live in that house, and I can't take care of what needs to be taken care of if I'm not the executive. Like, I can't pay the mortgage.
Well, I think
If everything's getting taken away from me, then I need to know that so I can get out. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything has been taken away from me since my mother died. So this is literally this was my last resort of trying to fix everything to get her removed. So I didn't.
well, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to, we got to be able to communicate with you and your sister, and your brother's got to be able to communicate. And the fiduciary supervisor, commissioner will get that and come right. How long would that take? What's the process?
Can I make a little
Sure.
statement? This person who fiduciary wants to put in, he will be the person that you three siblings will give your information to, and he will decipher what is right or what needs to be taken care of. It takes the burden off of you, your brother, and your sister. It's given to that fiduciary person who we appoint
Absolutely.
as an independent.
And to Mr. Whitaker's point, all individuals serving in this county as fiduciary commissioners are licensed attorneys.
Okay, and as far as since things has been going, since my mother has died, again, like I say, that everything that's mine that's been given to me, she has wiped everything away from me, or tried to take everything away from me. Now, as though the car is my car. I bought it before I came up to West Virginia. License situation at the time, I had it in my mother's name. So how, I don't, you know what I'm saying? I need to tell the mortgage company something today from after I leave from here. I want to find out the car situation. I don't know anything. Like I said, all I do is go to work and come home.
Well, we're trying to help. We're trying to help the family out as a family, but you're here to give your side of the story. Johnny, we don't have here, and your sister's in Florida, so we gotta have facts and findings from each and every one of you. Okay, so Will, you
Yes,
have
Counsel.
anything else to add?
No, only that to Mr. Allen's point, he is handling a lot of the probate assets. All of the assets seemingly are here in Berkeley County, at least many of them seem to be. And that's regrettable.
Have you gotten
and-
anything from his sister at all?
Yes, sir. So she is not delinquent in any form. She has filed her appraisement. We are currently within the claims period.
So currently, right now, we have no reason to remove her, but we
Not for cause.
we would recommend that they would move forward.
That is correct, Counsel. So there was a claim that was ultimately rejected for the Department Health and Human Services for the health management system for the total amount of $105,839.51. That was rejected solely because of the packet that was given with the claim was so voluminous, and they gave us $12 to record that packet, which was insufficient. So we sent that back. That being said, as this council probably knows, mere claims or not having a claim on public record does not stop, especially a state entity, from collecting a debt, especially a debt of this size. It simply changes the venue, that venue being from here to circuit court. So they have 2 years from the notice of creditors to file that in circuit court. So that being said, there very well could be a solvency issue here. All of that would be able to be voiced a little better, I think, from a fiduciary commissioner's findings. Per Mr. Allen's immediacy, I certainly will emphasize to the commissioner that ultimately is up. It's a random assignment. Mr. Allen's need for expediency, but I can't guarantee how an attorney's schedule is going to be during the summer months. Your guess is as good as mine. That being said, I do think a commissioner absolutely is the correct arbiter for this case.
Thank you. All right, entertain a motion for this matter on the estate of Emma Payne. Jeff, real quick, do you find the same findings as
Yes, I think based on all the apparently disputes about facts and law involved, that the cleanest way, the fairest way would be to refer to a fiduciary commissioner. And based on what Mr. Lawrenson has said today, it would be, I think, improper to take the action of removal today of the currently appointed representatives. So the fairest way is for everybody to get heard by a fiduciary commissioner, and they will be able to translate that into a report that they can present to the council to make the decision making clear cut.
okay, entertain a motion.
I have a question on that, sir. So if this council makes that decision to hire a fiduciary commissioner to handle the fairness of this estate, does that stop any other activities today, that nobody can do anything with this estate until this commissioner
Makes a finding.
Yes.
In no way does it. I'll say this to the council: there is nothing further to do other than settle the estate and pay the creditors. So aside from that, I mean, there are no further actions to be taken. Liquidation of assets would require, in such a case, signatures of all parties involved. Because there's no will with a power of sale, any liquefaction of, for instance, the real estate would require Mr. Allen, Mr. Marshall, and Ms. Allen's signatures, albeit together. That's why we don't secure real estate assets. We don't secure things like that because they're secured by their nature. No party buying real estate is going to take one person who, says they represent the estate and arbitrarily buy that property. Any title attorney is going to require all three signatures from all interested parties. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry.
Well, somewhat.
Okay.
I mean, somewhat, but still, if it's our finding today to have a fiduciary commissioner appointed, does it stop Mr. Allen's sister from doing something else with car titles that does not require all these other signatures?
Yes. I will say this. Probate deals in titles solely in the decedent's name. And probate also deals with specifically regarding intestacy. Probate deals with all assets within probate are subjugated to creditor debt, 100%. And that is through securitization. For instance, the mortgage issue, the mortgage company would not need to file any kind of claim. Their securitization is guaranteed because they can take the property back. So to answer your question, does a commissioner order stop her from, liquefying assets and running off to Tahiti? No, but that's why she's secured and bonded. Say nefarious acts are taken, and that is found by both this body and a commissioner. That's the reason why we have a bond. The bond secures those assets for the nominal value recorded in both the appraisement and initially when Ms. Allen qualified. So there's a means of recovery should bad acts happen. Okay?
Would it behoove the three siblings to keep track of the money they spend and the money that they have spent of their own on the property, that if he would make a payment to something, you keep track of all those records and you could be reimbursed?
Absolutely.
That would be my suggestion.
I say absolutely. As of right now, since my mother has died, there's nothing that I can do with the mortgage company, nothing. They say with her being as the executive, they can't tell me anything. If I want to pay on my mortgage, they would take all the money, not partial money, because I'm not the executive. Again, like I say, everything, I've been living in this house for 6 years. I hear him saying, put somebody else, somebody from the state to take care of this matter. Everybody in this room has their own place. Everybody in this room don't have nobody that's actually taking away what's theirs. I'm down here with nothing right now. My mother's gone. Everybody in my family's gone. I have nobody in West Virginia. The house that I have, he talking about getting somebody to a point, okay, maybe sell the house, say something about the car. Both the titles to my car that I paid for, which is in my mother's name, my sister took my title. The car that my grandmother gave me, my sister sold that. Every time I called the police for help, there was no help. Right now I have a case on me being assaulted and me asking about a title because of lies. And right now I'm trying to get help. And for me to get help, the best thing that I can hear is we could point somebody else, which means everything that's I've been trying to save, everything that I've been trying to fix since my sister has messed up, it's now like you did all this for nothing. You came up here to bring your proof. I understand I've been talking and not showing too much proof. All that's for nothing because somebody else, 9 times out of 10, it's probably be a month. Like, you gotta get out of that house. Regardless on the money, me paying the bills in that house, regardless on me doing anything for that house, me doing anything whatsoever, I'm trying to have a clear head. Benz though, yes, my mother's birthday is on the 21st of this month, and it's like, nothing has come in good since she died.
All right, well.
I don't mean to take up y'all time.
Right, but, I mean, okay, so we've heard enough from you, and we've heard from Mr. Lawrence, and we have to make a decision here. And I think I'll just say one thing. The one thing, it doesn't matter whether you paid for the house or you paid for the car or whatever. The ownership, the deed to the house is in your mom's name. The titles to the cars are in your mom's name, right? Which doesn't give you ownership, sad to say, in my opinion. I might be wrong. But, at
The
this,
the only thing I could say about that is if you have proof where you paid for it, you have receipts for it, you have the ability to pay where you paid the insurance on it, things like that. I don't know if you have those records or not, but that would show sort of not the burden of proof, but it would help you in receiving that.
Those are also estate costs.
Yeah.
Duty of maintenance of the property and things of that ilk.
Yeah.
Those are fully recoverable to anyone who pays them, irrespective if they're heir, a person just staying in the house, or the administrator. That is fully reimbursable, and that is stage one. You take before any creditor.
is divided up, right? All right, entertain a motion.
Is that what written right there, that
No, this is just,
the saying of it, or
you basically want to appoint a
we want
fiduciary.
to move that we appoint a fiduciary commissioner in regards to the estate of
Emma Payne.
Emma Payne.
All right,
A second motion.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The motion carries.
How big of a pool is the fiduciary commission?
The council previous has issued a bond for $800 for the fiduciary commissioner service, irrespective of time spent. That, for instance, Susan Snowden, who is one of our commissioners, can't charge her hourly rate. I don't think the council could afford it, quite frankly. No offense. I'm sorry, Susan. No, but to be candid, it's an $800 bond, and that is subjugable to some kind of relief. Meaning, if Mr. Allen were to pay the bond and he was found to be righteous in his claims, that $800 is paid back to him through his distribution.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Well, we can take a quick break if you want. And wait for Margie to get here. Take a break.
you.
You can always-
All right. We're back in session. Next on our agenda, as soon as I get to the right page, and whoops, one, two, is a board and commission interview with Margie Shockey Bartles, candidate for Berkeley County Development Authority. Good morning. I'm sorry, Margaret. Tell us your full name and why you're here and why you want to serve.
My name's Margie Bartles, Margaret Shockey Bartles. I've applied to serve on the Development Authority. I've been a local real estate broker for 44 years. Born here, raised here. Think I know something about real estate development. In the spirit of giving time to a county that I know I love and that I think could benefit from some of the information I could share.
All right. I think we probably all know you.
That might be a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know.
All right, Jimmy, what you got?
Well, how you moving? I noticed you've got a little problem.
I've had that double knee replacement, so hanging in there real good.
There you go, Alan. There, you can ask her all the questions in the world.
I'm up next.
So, obviously you went on the Development Authority because you're a resident of Berkeley County, but is there anything that you can specifically give to the Development Authority other than knowledge of real estate?
I think I'm fairly involved in what's going on in the county. I also think that I have a decent understanding of like where we've been and where I think all of us want to see the county go to. And I think that's much more than real estate and much more than development.
Other than warehouses?
Yeah, that too.
Okay, Mr. Whitaker.
Margie, we've just kind of gotten to know one another on the airport authority together. So basically my comment is that anybody that's willing to give back to the community is a great thing, especially of a business-minded person. And I don't think there's probably anything that I can ask you that I don't already know, and there's probably a lot that you could tell me that I should learn. So I'll just kind of defer that, and we'll continue to serve together and learn from each other.
That's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a vacancy on the development?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Gokenhour.
Well, Margie and I have known each other for a very long period of time, and I've always highly respected you. You were on my short list to ask you if you'd be interested in serving on this board when I found out that you already filled out the application. So I thought, well, that's perfect. That's perfect timing. I know how much you care about this community and the state of West Virginia. I think with your business background, not only in real estate, but also in banking, I think that you bring a lot of assets to the table. So thank you for applying, and we'll be in touch with that.
And I didn't really address that, and Eddie, I appreciate you bringing that up. I've served on the CMB Bank Board for about 24 years, and I've been their audit chair for 23. Phil, he's so good son. He wanted me to do it, so I did. And that's the other piece I think that I can contribute is I have over time seen budgets go from small to larger. I'm very familiar with audit landscapes and how that works within any organization. And I think that's really a nice piece of knowledge that I could contribute.
And tell me a little bit about your 10 years as a college instructor career at CTC.
Well, I teach real estate.
Okay.
I also actually helped develop the brokers program for West Virginia Real Estate Commission and Blue Ridge College. Until about maybe 8 years ago, there was no broker classes in West Virginia. what real estate agents did was they just took the agent curriculum a second time and then became a real estate broker. And so what I do with Blue Ridge along with 2 other instructors is we've developed 3 modules on, what it's like to own a business, what it's like to start a business, what it's like to have the auditor come audit your business. And so that's probably in my real estate career of instruction, that's probably, I think, really, truly the greatest contribution in instruction is developing that curriculum. It's used statewide. We historically, it's not a large class, we historically have somewhere between 10 and 15 that we teach 3 modules to every year, and normally 8 of them will be from out of the Eastern Panhandle. Only maybe 2 within the Eastern Panhandle. So we get a real, we get a real feel for how things happen in other areas of the state. So that's extremely beneficial too.
So being a broker for the last 20 years, how important is time to you? Is time of the essence?
Well,
on your real estate deals or any projects that you work on?
well, I think if you're asking in a contractual way, okay, if you're asking in a contractual way, time is of the essence works in our business and what I function for as a broker for Long and Foster. Time is of the essence in a residential real estate transaction is not nearly as important as I view it in a commercial transaction. And in a commercial transaction, a lot of commercial transactions can take 18 months, 2 years, 3 years. And the reality of that time frame is we all know that the marketplace can change a lot in those time frames. In a residential transaction in real estate, historically, you're only going to be looking at 60 to 90 days. And there's a lot of nationwide case law, and I do study that, and the reason I study that is for my class. There's a lot of nationwide case law that time is of the essence in any contract has changed over the last 2 to 3 years. When I started practicing, when the wheel was created, time is of the essence meant the contract died on that date. And there's real good national case law today that says that's not really so. So I think you have to be aware of what it can mean, and then you have to be aware of what it means to the parties to your transaction. And then ultimately my job as the broker is what's it going to mean to a judge or a jury.
All right, so thank you for that, but I mean, as a business owner, right, time is very valuable.
Okay.
Right? So, and it seems like you would be a good fit for Development Authority because you are or have been in the real estate business for 44 years. I remember you when I was first getting into stuff. You've been a broker for 20 years, which means you're a business owner. You sat on a board bank for 24 years, and you're an instructor at college, which a lot of businesses coming into town, that's one of their major questions is how do we educate our workforce? And then the other thing is most, you're right, commercial and industrial businesses that want to look at some things. Sometimes it will take 18 and 24 months, but when they decide to go with it, it's like we want to start tomorrow. And at that point in time becomes very important because, as you know, time is money, right? Every time the day goes by, unfortunately, CMB Bank doesn't say, well, you don't owe us any money for 2 years while you do your due diligence,
Exactly
right? Yeah. So, and if you can keep Charlie Trump straight, that's pretty impressive.
Well, I like all 3 of their references.
Yeah.
And it really does have a different meaning depending upon where you're using it. The other thing that I will say that I think is beneficial for me, and there would probably be lots of folks who say, wow, you're really wearing a whole lot of hats. But what I will tell you is the things that I've been willing to do and that I've asked to do, I've asked to do because I think they all fit under this larger umbrella that says I have experience, and maybe I'm not the most experienced in any of those areas, but I have some experience in a lot of areas that can benefit anybody contractually.
Now, some of the vacancies, or some of the positions on the Development Authority, Anthony and Eddie, have to be in a certain field.
I'm not aware of that.
I was gonna say, because I didn't think you knew that, right? It has to be from the workforce, it has to be from utility, it has to be from a municipality, it has to be, so just, even though you have the vacancy, you gotta make sure that the person meets that criteria,
Okay.
okay? But very, very nice interview.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Good to meet you.
devoting so much time to Berkeley County,
Thank you so much.
you know?
Happy to be here.
Good to see you again.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you each.
All right,
Take care.
thank you. All right, need a motion to go into executive session for contractual?
Contractual, economic development, and land acquisition.
So moved.
Executive session for all the reasons Alan gave.
Give Jason a call, make sure we see what he's got going on and where he's going to. I don't know how far he's going down, but
Right,
You're on,
right.
Mr. President.
look, you're going to where? Kate?
All right, we're out of executive session. We're back in regular session. There'll be no action taken. So, Mr. Barnhart.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate the ability to ask motions for recess.
All right. We are recessed. Thank you, Mr. Barnhart.